Yes! Welcome into Sports Bet Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy, weekend preview edition. We made it to July. Football right around the corner. Big game breakdown is going to be the Cubs and the Mets again, and the Rangers and the Twins. Deep dive. Ian O'Sullivan to preview the Tour de France and the play of the day. I got to mention my buddy Nick Bogdanovich, director of trading with William Hill. You see the worst beats in Major League Baseball. Teddy, another moose. Detroit down 7-2 in the ninth. They put up an 8 spot and beat the Rays 10-7.
Yeah, they beat them by margin.
Yeah.
You look at the final score, you say, oh, the Tigers took care of business. Nuh-uh. It wasn't like that. And this wasn't just a moose. This was a true moose.
Oh.
Of course, Tampa, they led 5-0 after 5. They're up 7-2 in the ninth. They were as high as minus 3,100 at 5 dimes in in-game wagering. That means you're laying $31 to win $1 on Tampa. And, of course, they find a way to lose. Cameron Maben with the big ninth inning. 2 hits, a run scored, 3 RBIs for Detroit. But, I mean, what a wild inning,
Yeah.
They start off the inning with 4 consecutive hits off Ryan Garden, including a Victor Martinez RBI single. Then Erasmo Ramirez comes in, replaces Garden. He gives up Justin Upton single. Moya sacrifice fly. Saltamakia made it 7-6 with a single. Then Iglesias do a walk to load the bases. Kinsler got another free pass, and next thing you know, bang, Cameron Maben with that drive to left center, putting the Tigers up 10-7. Of course, the winner, Anibal Sanchez, didn't pitch well. He gave up 2 hits and 2 runs in 2 innings. K-Rod got the final 3 outs in the ninth for his 22nd save, but it's also worth noting, not only did Tampa lose the game, their spark plug center fielder, Desmond Jennings, departed with left hamstring tightness. He might end up being the next Ray on the disabled list.
We have a name for the people who bet 31 to win $1. Bridge jumpers. And they're looking to do a Peter Pan off a building after what happened. And a tough one. I know a couple viewers posted in the YouTube section, the comments section on the videos that they had Texas the other night. Jesus, 7-3 in the ninth and they can't cover the run line. The walk-off by the Yankees has been a truly epic beats with this last week, what's going on in MLB. The Indians do it again. 13 in a row, tying a franchise record. They haven't lost since the Cavs won the title.
Do you think there's any effect to that? I mean, when you talk about the mentality of a city, where Cleveland hadn't won a title in 52 years, and now all of a sudden the Cavs won a title, do you think that legitimately affects that Indians locker room in any way,
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
I don't disagree.
You had nothing to do with it?
No, I'm saying I don't disagree. I'm saying that there's a level of confidence in Cleveland now that we just haven't seen. Carrasco, no ill effects from his 117-pitch complete game shutout in his previous outing. It is worth noting, though, with that 13-game winning streak, they're dogs tonight. Cleveland is dogs tonight against Marcus Stroman and the Blue Jays, even though Stroman has only 1 quality start in his last 6 outings, giving up 30 earned runs in his last 32 innings worth of work.
Here's a bad beat. The Dodgers. Kershaw goes on the DL. Now it's going to be patchwork of these guys who got to eat some innings, and they're 14-2 when he starts, and they're 6 games under 500 when he doesn't start.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big loss, really. It doesn't look like Kershaw's going to be long for the disabled list. They expect him back right after the All-Star break. But, yeah, he gets to go on an All-Star break a little bit early. Now, you have to wonder, we've talked about L.A. starting pitching more than once on SportsBet in recent weeks. Where are the innings going to come from? No one other than Kershaw has finished the 7th inning since May 14th. That was Scott Kazmir at home versus St. Louis. And believe me, this team cannot and does not want to be forcing Julio Urias or Brock Stewart into high pitch counts.
Right.
They brought in Bud Morris. They signed Bud Norris.
Yes,
only
they
because
did.
he's available to pitch tonight, Pauly. Okay, sure, come on.
I know.
We'll sign you up.
I know.
All of their usable prospects are already up. 9 different Dodgers have started a game already this year. And remember, the guy we were just talking about, the guy we talked about on yesterday's SportsBet show in terms of Brock Stewart, he started the year playing single A ball. Okay? When you start the year at single A ball and you're in the majors by June, it's not because you're supposed to be there. It's because that's all you have. And that tells us all, LA is not in good shape in terms of prospects right now. We'll see if Norris can eat up some innings. But a lot of tough things for Dave Roberts in his first season as manager, Pauly. Not just 1. He's got to do 3.
Yes, he's got a lot of things going wrong there with the Dodgers.
The guy's got to win games.
Another bad beat. The books got crushed.
Well, hang on. Let me just finish with that Roberts thought real quick. I mean, Roberts,
Okay.
he has to win games. He can't burn out his young starters, and he has to keep his bullpen fresh. And this is a rookie manager. You know, Roberts in his first season as a big league manager, he's being asked to do a lot right now. I'm not bullish on the Dodgers at this stage of the campaign.
Now to one more bad beat. The books got crushed. The Royals were plus $1.65, bet down to $1.25.
Yeah, you know, KC leads wire to wire. A rare instance of money coming on Chris Young, who the markets love to fade. But the markets hate Mike Leake just as much as they hate Chris Young, especially as chalk. All that KC money coming in. Of course, that Royals bullpen wasn't blowing another save last night after Wade Davis blew one yesterday. KC bullpen, 5 innings of work, only 2 hits and 1 walk allowed, striking out 7.
Well, here's a great bet. Explain what happened yesterday in golf.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Berger, who was available for head-to-head matchups. And of course, if you have a head-to-head matchup and a guy doesn't take a shot, he gets scratched before the opener, it's a push, no action. But if a guy comes in and takes 1 shot, guess what? Now it's action. Almost like in the baseball, when a starting pitcher comes in and throws 1 pitch. If he gets pulled, so be it. The starters were the starters. So Berger comes in, all right, at the WGC Bridgestone Invitational. After 1 swing, he's like, I'm done. I got a shoulder injury. So everybody who bet against Berger in any of the head-to-head matchups, guess what? They just cashed their ticket. So if you had info that, my shoulder's hurting a little bit. It's also, it's the second time this year that he's had to leave a tournament early. He hit his hand on a rock during a swing back in WGC Dell match play earlier in the year. We're talking about the number 32 golfer in the world. He's not a nobody by any stretch of the imagination, but good bet if you faded him in his only shot on Thursday.
All right. Dynamite info there. Up next, big game breakdown. We start with the Cubs and the Mets on SportsBit. Betting Insight today.
Hi, everyone. Catch the MLB Odds Couple show for today, July 1st. If you saw our plug for yesterday's show, I said in the plug, what did I say? I said my second half plays, I'm liking them. I gave 2 in the show, both nailed it. I like how you sang it. And I'll tell you what, today, I'm going to have like 4 or 5 second half plays. I think I'm liking them as well. Mike Brenner is going to be bouncing back today. So tune into the show, July 1st, MLB Odds Couple show, people. Don't miss it.
Back on SportsBit, time for big game breakdown. As always, live on sportsbookreview.com. Cubbies and the Mets, true pick'em. 7 the total. Hamill against DeGrom. And maybe the Mets get some momentum off that big win last night. They were down 3-0 in the 6th. Then they had a 4-3 lead in the 9th. Second and third, nobody out for the Cubbies. And the meat of the order coming up. And Familia shut the door, Teddy. Now can DeGrom keep it going?
Well, I mean, Familia has been remarkable. 27 out of 27 in save chances this season. And to get out of that jam last night against, as you mentioned, the heart of that Cubs batting order, certainly a momentum boost for a Mets team that really needed one. But, we talked on yesterday's Sports Bit about all the issues with the Mets offense right now. A bottom 5 offense in baseball. And I don't know if there's anyone that suffered more because of it than DeGrom so far this season. I mean, he's been a victim of no run support all year. The guy's got 3 wins, and the Mets are only 6-7 in his starts, but he's allowed 3 runs or less in 12 of those 13 starts and only 4 in the other game. Here's the ultimate, man. Look at this graphic, Pauly. DeGrom's last 5 starts, the Mets have given him a grand total of 3 runs of support in 5 starts. Of course he has no wins during that span. The last 3 starts, the Mets have scored 1 run for him. And, I give him credit. He shows moxie by battling through. But, the bottom line is this Mets offense, they 4 runs was enough last night. Not sure if it's going to be enough for many games moving forward.
So now you got Hamill with the Cubbies and one of the toughest pitchers to grade in all of baseball. You got the good 7-4 with a 2.58 ERA, and then there's a lot of not so good, Teddy.
Well, that's just it. I mean, Hamill has overachieved based on his advanced metric numbers. The ERA says 2.58. Look at this graphic. The fielding and independent pitching 3.88. The adjusted fielding and pitching 4.35. The Sierra 4.34. So we're talking about some of the advanced metrics being almost 2 runs higher than his actual ERA. So how does that happen, Paul? Well, it's simple. The batting average on balls in play, the BABIP, he ranks number 5 in all of baseball with 91 pitchers that have 80 innings pitched or more. The left on base percentage, 83.3%, that ranks number 7 of 91 pitchers in MLB with 80 innings or more. It's not easy to be in the top 10 of both of those categories, which depend, let's call it luck, in terms of the batting average on balls in play and the left on base percentage, more luck in those two categories than maybe any other when it comes to MLB stats. So you say he's pitched well, he has, but he's also been very, very lucky so far this season. Luck that you don't know is going to continue indefinitely.
But now the major outlier, the Cubs defense is at 253, BABIP. Can that hold up?
Well, that's really an incredible number. Again, the batting average on balls in play. How well is a team adjusting to where their opponents are hitting, and how well are they recording outs when they hit the baseball? Well, you look at the Cubs this year. They've lapped the field. The MLB average is 298. The number 5 ranked team is 284. The number 2 ranked team is 274, and here are the Cubs at 253. It's impossible. And you say, all right, it's good defense, but it's also very good scouting for shifts. And that says something about the Joe Madden way for Chicago. And we look at the recent history of these numbers. The best team in baseball when it comes to opponents' batting average on balls in play. And look at that. We've seen Madden teams on this list before. We saw it in 2011 with Tampa. We saw it in 2012 with Tampa. But again, look at where we see these numbers, usually in the 270s. That's the best in baseball. Now we're talking about a Cubs team that has held opponents to 253 batting average on balls in play. There is no way, Pauly, that the Chicago Cubs defense can maintain that rate over the back half of the campaign.
One more, Rangers Twins, liveoddsportsbookreview.com. Rangers $1.20 on the road, 9.5 the total. Perez against Santana. We've been warning you all week about that Rangers bullpen, and we're going to keep telling you and warning you about the bullpen. Only allowed 1 run yesterday, but retired 10 of the 17 batters that tried to reach base. The Yankees had a sac bunt in there. 33 of the 66 pitches were balls, and it was 3 hits, 4 walks, and 1 strikeout.
Yeah, there are issues with that Texas bullpen. And again, they're ranked bottom 5 in ERA and bullpens right now. And normally, this is something we talked about before the season started. Profitability and bullpen ERA are enormously correlated. And yet here's Texas, the most profitable team in baseball by a wide margin of support, and yet a bullpen ERA that's near the bottom of the majors. So something has to give on that. I'm not, I'll just say this. I'm not convinced that we haven't seen the Rangers already have their best stretch of the 2016 campaign. But it's an ongoing issue right now with Martin Perez. This is someone who needs to work deep into a game to help his team, but that's not what he does. The last 10 non-Coles Hamel starts for the Rangers have combined for 50.1 innings. They're averaging just 5 innings per start. Perez has only finished the 7th 2 times in 16 starts, averaging only an even 6 innings per start. And of course, there's a tactical problem here. You need strikeouts to work a 3rd time through the order. If you pitch to contact, batters figure you out. Well, Martin Perez, 91 pitchers have gotten at least 80 innings pitched, and Perez is number 90 of those 91 pitchers, only 4.4 strikeouts per 9. Mike Pelfrey is the only one worse in all of baseball. And you don't want to be compared to Mike Pelfrey's numbers.
No. So they're going to have to outscore teams, and they certainly can mash with this solid lineup they have. So Santana doesn't have the strikeout rate he used to have, and he's 2-7 with a 4.64.
Yeah, look at the swinging strike percentage. You can see the very clear decline here from where he was just a few years ago to where he is right now. In 2014, 11.8%. This year, all the way down to 8.9%. And it's been 7 straight games for Santana with more hits allowed than strikeouts. He's only getting 6.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's a career low, I should say. And again, it's tough to pitch to contact for the Twins because they don't go and get the ball. All that good stuff we said about the Cubs defense a couple minutes ago, we can't say any of it about the Minnesota Twins defensively. Look at the numbers. And again, these are the advanced metric stats. The park adjusted defensive efficiency, number 29. The batting average on balls in play, number 30 out of 30 MLB teams. The Twins have given up a 326 batting average on balls in play. It has a big impact on Santana. He's only 287 for his career, but 320 allowed this season because of that spotty Twins defense. We'll get back to this game when it comes to play of the day time.
We'll take a break from football up next. Remember, Phil Steele, 4 parts next week. It's Ian O'Sullivan to preview the Tour de France and the play of the day up next on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Always on the go? Bet365 has one of the top mobile platforms in today's market. Sign up today and don't let your busy life keep you out of the game.
Welcome back to SportsBit. Teddy Covers here, and I'm joined today by Ian O'Sullivan at CyclingBetter on Twitter. And, of course, you can find his info at cyclingbetting.co.uk. Ian, you're going to talk about the Tour de France, which is a subject that I know absolutely nothing about. But first, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Teddy. Pleasure to be here.
Hey, pleasure's all mine. Now, look, in the summertime here in the U.S., bettors still bet. They'll bet golf, they'll bet tennis, they'll bet soccer. Some guys bet women's basketball or auto racing. But I'm telling you, I only know one guy that bets cycling. And it's the same guy. He bets darts. He bets Olympics. Like, that's what he does. He bets the obscure sports and does very well with it, mind you. But I've never really met a casual Tour de France bettor. Is there such a thing?
I think there's more and more coming into the betting. I think in recent years, when I started out betting on cycling a few years ago, it was definitely a niche. It was like a women's basketball or an ice hockey to a person in the UK type of thing. But as it's becoming more popular over here, and as there's better coverage on TV and on the net, it is something that's becoming very popular with cycling fans. If you know your stuff when it comes to cycling, you definitely can have an edge over the bookies.
Well, let me ask you 3 questions right off the bat. And I'm just going to fire questions away at you. So if I'm a little bit too aggressive, just say, hey, give me a second. But I need to know this. When does it start? Why should we bet it? And why should a U.S. audience care?
Why should we? Well, it starts on Saturday, Saturday the 3rd of July. It runs for 3 weeks until the 24th of July. And why U.S. bettors should take an interest? Well, the U.S. is becoming a huge cycling nation. With the success of Lance Armstrong was part of that. I'm not sure how the US audience are reacting since everything that's happened with Lance Armstrong, but he certainly raised the profile massively in the States for cycling. And I find my little website here in the UK, cyclingbetting.co.uk, has got quite an audience coming from the US, and I got quite a few followers from the US asking me lots of questions about cycling on Twitter. So it's a great sport if you know your stuff, because very often the bookmakers don't, and it's very hard to know everything about every rider. You have 198 riders starting the Tour de France. The bookies can't know everything about every rider. They don't know who's in form. They don't know who's maybe feeling a bit sick, etc. And if you keep your ear to the ground, and if you keep up with your information on Twitter and so on, you can find some decent value bets.
Yeah, and certainly from a theoretical standpoint, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Some of the biggest edges you have over bookmakers is in sports where you got more information than they do. And when it comes to Tour de France, where the handle is relatively low, a lot of times you can legitimately have more information than the guys who are setting the line. So that being said, I actually did a little bit of research for this, all right? And the 2 names that keep on coming up were what Froome and Quintana? You want to pronounce those for me? I know those are the 2 favorites. Right. So if we're looking at these 2 guys as the 2 favorites, how do we want to bet it? How do we make money betting the Tour de France this year?
Well, you're not going to get rich backing Chris Froome at just 11-8, but in many people's eyes, he does look the sure thing. Winner of 2 of the last 3 Tour de France's. The only time he didn't win it was because he crashed out, and he looks a sure thing in many people's eyes, as I said. But he's got a serious rival in the little Colombian Nairo Quintana. Both times that Froome won it, Quintana finished second to him, and he's looking really, really good this year. I like Quintana, and if I was to, it's nearly a coin toss between the 2 of them, and at the slightly bigger odds, I'll be cheering on Nairo Quintana for this year's Tour de France.
So Quintana is the bet. Where should we bet it? Because I know not a whole lot of books in the States, certainly not here in Las Vegas, offer a lot of odds for Tour de France. So where do you think you find, what sportsbook would you recommend that people set up accounts with if they want to get involved?
Yeah, I think there's what you will find actually, Teddy, is that for the Tour de France, you'll find bookmakers who never take an interest in cycling at all will suddenly price it up because they can get odds from kind of anywhere. But every single UK and most of the major European bookmakers will be pricing up a whole multitude of markets for for the Tour de France, number of finishers, number of riders to wear the yellow jersey, who's going to finish last in the race, who will win the green jersey, the white jersey, the polka dot jersey. There's plenty of betting opportunities, and there's a few obscure bets which look nice to me. I like Brian Coquard at 20-1 to maybe finish in the top 3 for the points competition. I think that's another sure thing for Peter Sagan to win that, but he's something like 4-7. And an obscure market which I think has a bit of value is under 162 riders to finish the race. It's a bizarre type of thing to be betting on, but I think there's a bit of value there because I think a lot of riders will have their eye on the Olympics, which starts just a little bit after the Tour de France finishes. And I think some of them might be calling it quits with in the last week and deciding to save themselves and try and go for Olympic glory.
You know what? That sounds to me like a really sharp bet, and actually one that you might have just talked me into making a wager, because that makes a whole lot of sense. Under 162 riders to finish the Tour de France. I'm going to look for that this week. And Ian, on the 25th of July, after the race is over, I'm going to come back to you and say thumbs up or thumbs down. Really interesting discussion, really interesting conversation on the Tour de France. How do people find you?
Well, I'm on Twitter at Cycling Betting, and I have a website, cyclingbetting.co.uk, where I'll be doing daily previews, but also on the SBR site, we'll be doing some previews there as well.
Yeah, and of course, if I got nailed for every time I got a pick that I gave on air wrong, boy, there'd be a lot of people coming to look me up, because you know how it is. You win some and you lose some. That being said, it's a bet that makes a whole lot of sense to me. It really does.
I think one other thing as well, Teddy, when you're betting on cycling, what I like about it is that from once you go outside sort of the top 3 or 4 in the betting, you can get some massive odds, 50-1, 66-1, 80-1, 100-1, 125-1 for guys who actually have pretty good chances of maybe featuring in the top 3. And I love a good each way bet on a guy at 66-1 or 80-1. I've had a couple of those come off. I've had 125-1 winners come off, 200-1 winners, because sometimes, as I said, a little bit more about what particular day will suit a particular rider, and they're worth nabbing at big prices.
Fascinating information. Ian O'Sullivan, thanks for spending some time on Sportsbet today. Best of luck in the Tour de France.
Always on the go? Bet365 has one of the top mobile platforms in today's market. Sign up today and don't let your busy life keep you out of the game.
All right, great job there, Teddy. Good to have an expert on. It's something I know nothing about. The Tour de France. Play of the day, money time. As we mentioned, back to the Twins and the Rangers. Betting number 971, 972. We're going over 9.5. It screams over in this one. We ran down all those numbers earlier. The Twins bullpen went 4 2/3 last night. No rest for the weary. Over Rangers and the Twins. Again, we'll talk to you on the 4th of July. Huge week coming up. UFC 200 breakdown with the best card they've ever had. We'll preview the Power 5 conferences and with Mr. College Football with Phil Steele. All that coming up next week on Sportsbet. Betting Insight today.